Welcome to Bid on You, the podcast, where we help you navigate the chaos of life and experience the bliss of backing yourself. Hosted by yours truly, Marissa Lee. Every Friday, we sit down with creatives, artists, influencers, and just some regular folks to talk dating, adulting, faith, culture, and all the random thoughts in between. It's time to bid on you. So let's start the show. Today, sisters, we have one of our besties joining us, Morgan Kendrick. Hi, insert applause. Welcome, Morgan. Morgan is an all-around creative, one of my oldest friends in LA, and filmmaker, theologian, publicist. The list just... News to me. No, okay. And humble. The list goes on and on and on. So today, Morgan was gracious enough to sit down and talk with us about advice on advocating for yourself in and outside of the workplace or the office. So before we get into that tea, honey, before we start bidding on you, we're going to do a quick member of the week, which on our show is a hot topic or an excellence, Black excellence even, specifically for this week. And of course, that's going to go out to none other than Kayla Nicole.
Love. Yes.
Love.
Yes. Deserving.
You actually sent me her video. Mm-hmm. You want to talk about that a little?
Yeah. I mean, it was a letter to Black women. It was a letter just about empowering each other. And I think like a lot of times when there's a lot of buzz happening and people are talking and chatter is going on social media, I think it's cool that she just like broke that silence and like broke the noise and said, hey, like I'm doing good and like let's encourage each other. Like,
thanks for checking.
Like, yeah, like let's not leave it to wonder. Let's just like be intentional about the space that we're trying to, you know, just like create on social media.
Yeah,
like,
yeah, totally. And I feel like for those of you who may not know, Kayla Nicole is an influencer, model, all of the good stuff. And she previously dated a super famous person, football player, who is now dating another super famous person. And that has led to a lot of odd feedback on her and really anyone who had anything to say. I know I made like a TikTok about it and my comments were insane in the membrane. Like,
I don't know why, like let them be. Like,
let everybody
she does not have to be in the conversation. She doesn't have to be inserted.
It doesn't have to be a like
comparison or anything.
You got the word better than me because I was going to go all the way left. So member of the week goes out to you, Kayla, a way to handle yourself with grace and poise and faith. And it's goals. It's definitely goals. So let's get into the show. Okay. So we're going to start out with a few questions. Of course, our show is mostly to inspire people to help you sort of walk through what you wish you knew and maybe what you're learning and just be like virtual. I don't even know if I'm going to say big sisters. Like, we just might be your sisters. Like, y'all Irish twins. Like, we born 1 year apart. Yeah, we the cousins. Yeah. Right. It's like your second cousin. Like, why are we the same age? But my mama is your great aunt. Like, that's this. So that's us to y'all. But Morgan, will you walk us through? We're just going to talk about, like, the start of our careers a little bit and then where we are now. So take me on that quick journey.
Yeah. I mean, so let me back up a little bit. So I went to University of Florida for undergrad, studied public relations, and I always wanted to like work in-house at a publicity, like film publicity department. Right. So that was like my my goal. And so when I graduated, I moved to LA a month after. I started as an intern at a media agency. And then a month later, I got my first job on a studio lot as an assistant in corporate communications. And, you know, I mean, like, I feel like my headspace going into the internship and also like that assistant role was really just like, Morgan, like keep your head down, like do good work, let it speak for itself, and like just be a sponge and like absorb all you can. And I feel like I kind of overstayed my welcome on that mentality a little bit. And so now I'm in a season of coming out of that and having gone from intern to assistant to coordinator to now manager. I just feel the prompting and like that conviction of, okay, it's time for me to not just like do good work, but also like speak on behalf of the good work that I'm doing.
Yes,
find my voice. Like it's time to like really step into my power, if you will. And so that's where I feel like I'm at right now, just the crossroads of finding my voice and just being more comfortable in what I've learned, my experience. I've been in the game for 5 years now, so
Not the game.
Feel, you know what I mean? So I'm just coming to the realization now, okay, I have some chops, like let me start like really like standing on my own 2 feet and like saying it.
I love to hear you say that, because obviously the girlies at home don't know, but like we've been through it together. And I think something that's really important about what you said, I've been thinking about a lot, is I also like had to go from intern to assistant to coordinator to manager. And I think for women of color, more specifically Black women, every single accomplishment in your career is like rung by rung. Like when they say a corporate ladder, they meant
you
like
climb it.
It's not
and you
steps,
earn every bit of it, you know?
Yeah. And we don't really get the accelerated track or to jump ahead. But I think making the best out of that is those lessons that come along the way of, okay, I've had my time where I was a sponge, quote unquote, as they always say. I had my time where I was in the room and I had my thoughts, but I kept them to myself.
Like I got my exposure.
Paid my dues. It's time for these dudes to start paying me. Okay, but we'll get to that. So I think that's funny because you sort of segued into something else I wanted to talk about, which was the major difference between, you know, being an intern or an assistant and early in your career versus now being a bit further into your career, sort of being able to take up space in a way that it's more expected. And the major differences between those. I think there is a podcast I used to listen to, shout out Refinery 29, the Unbothered podcast. But they used to, do you remember I sent this to you and I was like, this is us.
I love that.
But basically where the girl was talking about being an intern versus the other women on the podcast were managers. And she was like, I feel like as a Black girl, essentially in the workplace, there's no respect. It's just all the grunt work and all the foolishness that you would deal with as a Black woman, but they're not like afraid of you. So there's no power that comes with that, just like BS. And then now as a manager, sometimes I'm like, it's still giving intern energy. Like, do you know what I mean? It's just so important, like you said, to figure out your voice and then how to use that. Because we think, my voice, you gonna hear it. You know what I mean? And it's like strategy to that. So talk to me a little about that, and then to now, and how you sort of remain authentic in yourself in both of those stages.
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest difference from, you know, going from intern assistant coordinator to manager is now just having, you know, the responsibility of needing to communicate. Like you must communicate this idea so that it can get done. So there's a level of productivity that happens with your voice now. You're not just being told something to do and like stewarding that and like completing it, but now you're delegating. And so, yeah, I think it just comes with like being empowered to be able to just kind of like shift into like, I don't know, stewarding in a different way, like stewarding your experience and like your, I don't know, like, your voice, like stewarding your voice in a different way. So I feel like that's probably the biggest difference for me. And then also like outside of work, like in a creative sense, like, your voice is incredibly necessary to get whatever vision it is to accomplish that. And
I mean, it's your voice.
Exactly. So like, I feel like that, there's also, just like a conviction that you feel when it's your art, and you must communicate to see it through, because when you're communicating to other people, then they can now communicate to their people. And it can be like for a short film, like if you are, you know, a producer or a director role, you have to kind of empower other people on the team to be able to see that through with their group. So advocating for yourself becomes them advocating for this vision, for this shared goal. So using your voice is absolutely required. And so that has been a little uncomfortable for me, just to kind of step into that in a corporate sense and then also in a creative sense.
So you said something powerful with stewarding, and I feel like, you know, we both are church girls, so that may not be a word that's in most people's vocabulary. So when you say stewarding, what does that mean Can you talk about that a little
Yeah,
more?
I mean, what you've been giving, you are managing it well. So if you've been given 5 years of experience and you've gone through the internship to manager route, it's being able to steward that experience well. And if you're just sitting there and not like using your experience, then what are you being paid for? You know, so yeah, just like stewarding what you've been giving, managing what you've been giving well, whether it's experience or money or talent or vision or gift, whatever it is, just being able to manage it well because it's not yours in the first place.
Ooh, we'll get into that. Yeah. Like, am I taking these gifts that I've been given, these talents I've been blessed with, and am I blessing those around me? Or is it just about me?
Yeah.
God working on me on that. That's a different episode.
Oh, me too.
But why are we here? He's like, let's let it flow. So I think also when you spoke about, you know, you're a filmmaker and you've had like crews and had to say like, hey, y'all, that's not the shot. The shot I see in here is not what you're giving me out there. So like, let's run it back to the drawing board. And being able to bring people into that vision with you to the point that we just said of like, is this something that's just for me? And if you feel called to something and there's nobody on the other side of that calling, it's probably not what you're called to.
Yeah, no.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think we're called to people. Like, I think like you have this gift and you're called to like impact, minister to people. Yeah. So it's like this gift is for a certain group of people. And you have to find that group. Like, if you haven't found it yet, then that's a part of the journey. So.
So I love that you said that because you're bringing me to my next question. Perfect. It's almost as if you know them.
Segue.
So specifically in the workplace, and then we can go back outside of work in a moment, but specifically at work, how do you identify allies? And how do you actually define allies? Because I feel like, you know, there's the buzzword, but then it's when the rubber meets the road, what does that look like for you outside of we're in a meeting? And I think Morgan just said, it can look like that, but it can look like upward mobility, it can look like mentorship. So for you, what does it look like, and how can someone find that? They might be at home like, girl, I'm the only one that looks like me in this room, or I'm the only woman, or these people, I barely speak the language, like whatever it may be. How can I identify these people around me? Yeah. And who is an ally and who isn't?
Yeah. I mean, I define an ally as someone who is a mentor figure, someone who can ally on my behalf in another room that I'm not in. So that's how I see an ally. And so I see them as mentors. And I feel like it's been people like in different parts of like my journey that I've been able to share my story with. And I've had like that moment of like vulnerability. So, you know, like who I am, what I'm about, like why I'm here in LA.
Right. And
they see something in that and they want to invest, and I want to invest in like what we're doing at work. And so it's just like a shared, like, I don't know, it's like a personality match, like that kind of thing. So I feel like I identify my allies like that, when I can have a moment of vulnerability, when we can get to know each other. You know, it's beyond just like the superficial or like just the quick email, but it's like, you know, in them inviting you into their home, or like you knowing their family, or you following them on social media and you keeping up with their life, and you know, texting about like their children or whatever it is. So it's just people that you can you can have a life with outside of work, if that makes sense. Right.
There's the best investment that transfers, sort of what we're talking about. Like they're helping me advocate for myself here and there.
Yes.
I think something that one of my former bosses, you know, the one I loved, honey, I told y'all about, but he has since moved on, and we actually spoke last Friday. So I feel like that's another example of like, he has not been my boss in over a year now. But I can still always look to him for like advice, comfort, reassurance, allyship, advocacy. And I would say that's the first time for me in a workspace where I've really felt like, wait, the boss got me. So I don't know what y'all doing, but I'm up. We up over here.
Yeah.
And so losing that was, and you know, like I literally was like, okay, literally like absolutely got it. I had mug written on my forehead. Like it literally wasn't, they were taking the piss. But I feel like when I talked to him last week, he said something super powerful to me, because he was like, you know, I'm always like an ally to you. But he was like, actually, and caught himself. And I was like, are you not? Where are you going with this? Mm-hmm. And he said, you need more. He was like, I was reading recently and I saw, you need more than allies. You need accomplices. And I said, we're doing a crime?
Okay.
Maybe. Well, bit on you after dark. But
what did he mean by that?
Right. Thank you. There you go. So he was essentially saying, everyone's like, when you come out of a meeting, basically, and something happens and they're like, are you okay? Like, I saw it and oh my gosh, doesn't it suck? Mm-hmm. I support you. I just want you to know, and nobody else in this whole building, I support you. And then you just looking like, so then support me. I'm just kidding. No, like, you know what I mean? But in the words of Nene Leakes, support me, bitch. Like, what's going on? Let the people hear you. And so I think there's a difference between that and saying, hey, Marissa had this idea and I'm in this position where I can amplify it, where I can support it, where I can point it out in front of everybody, right? Or especially for us as Black women, don't come to me like, you see what's going on with the team because you know that I'm outspoken and then be chilling when it's time to talk about it in the meeting. That happens to me a lot because, it's tough for me to bite my tongue when I really firmly believe something. And so I run into that a lot where I have to say, you're not a martyr. Like you don't always have to sacrifice yourself. Yeah. Even if you feel this way, which is a different conversation, but picking and choosing your battles is something that continually evolves, the education of that. And I think he also pointed that out to me where he was like, you don't have to say everybody in this organization or cure racism tomorrow. Like that is not your responsibility.
Yeah, you don't have to bear the weight.
But I don't know how to not bear the weight. Like I think, and I got to pray on that with the Lord, if that is just a part of my journey. But, you and I both, like, we integrated sororities. We became first Black presidents of those sororities. We've had a lot of experiences of, as Ava DuVernay says, like first and onlys at a very young age. Yeah. And so to be moving to a place where you're transitioning out of it, or it just looks different, actually, is what one of my allies told me. You need those accomplices, right? Because your voice is going to get tired. Yeah. You're going to be fatigued one day where it's like, I literally am the only person on the team that says this, and now I'm just the troublemaker that they can just get out. You know what I'm saying? Like, but truly, like, we gotta, if we're gonna talk, let's talk about it. Let's be real if we're gonna do it. And so I feel like having somebody that's walking lockstep with you, like whether they are a mentor, whether they're lateral, which we'll talk about lateral networking. Shout out Issa Rae. We'll talk about that in a bit.
Yeah, find your people.
Right? But I don't know. I think that just is something that really struck me. Right? Like, we're in this thing together, not just like, hey, girl, I see you. And I know that I don't experience that. And that sucks. Yeah. But God bless. Yeah. And I think I want to do a little research in here. So speaking of someone that's in a position that can help you, upward mobility allies or, chef's kiss. But according to McKinsey & Company, we're going to talk a little bit about statistics for promotions within these structures, right? So progress for early career Black women, smiles, we're smiling, remains the furthest behind. After rising in 2020, which looks at camera, zoom, 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 after rising in 2020 and 2021 to a high of 96 Black women promoted for every 100 men, which I was like, where were we? Hell, maybe that's how we got up here. That was our rung. Okay, now we're going to be on manager till the cows come home. I was like, I did. No, I've never even been promoted. Everything I've gotten, I've had to like, jobs. Okay. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like bob and weave. But nevertheless, that was what the girls said was going on. So you are a witness. And that obviously they say likely because of heightened focus across corporate America, Black women's promotion rates have fallen to 2018 levels, which would have been when you and I were entering the workforce. Yeah. With only 54 Black women promoted for every 100 men this year. Wow. It doesn't even say white men, just men, period, as a group. Right? So with that, how, loaded question, do you advocate for yourself? Taking those tools, what does that look like practically?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's doing good work, and then it's being able to, I hate to say it, but justify that work. Like, I hate that we have to like justify ourselves and like put it, but numbers work for people. Like like people want to know like the analytics, the statistics, like whatever behind what we're doing, and just showing that the Black dollar moves and like what we're doing is like integral to like culture, and there are impressions and likes and comments. We are profitable and like
we are the culture.
Yeah, we are the culture. So I think like painting a very clear picture to people about like our productivity and like our effectiveness like at what we do, I think that's crucial. Like positioning ourselves like selling ourselves in a way so that it's digestible for people. And I hate that we have to do that. And I hate that like people aren't seeking that out, because I mean, I feel like other people can be promoted just by people seeing them, but we have to make people see us. And so it's like, let me make you see me. And it's like, exhausting. I don't want to play that game.
Yeah, no, I think.
So that's why we've been making our own tables. And then we can't help but be seen. So,
child, things are gonna get. You sing. There, you hear them runs in that hum? That was me, y'all. We just came from church, so you know I'm fresh with it or whatever. It's giving butter, running to freedom, like Harriet. That's how I feel. That's a lot. I think you and I have always sort of seen this differently, because you know I'm more of a rah type. You feel me? I don't know where that came from. I think we both started out in tough industries, for sure. I think you kind of stayed within yours. I feel like music to tech for me is...
Why am I laughing too?
The jokes. I don't know why that was funny, y'all. Well, we do know, but you'll find out later. So that's not what we're here to talk about today. But I think it's a thick skin, right? And I think for me, especially living in Los Angeles, us being from the South, like it really is, hey, how y'all doing? And I mean it. And I've run into so many people that were like, okay, I'll take that. I'll twist it, bop it, flip it, like all of it. And now I feel like I've gotten to this place where for the first time I'm like, I saw this thing that was like, I am an angry Black woman. I was like, I don't know if I'll say that. But I do understand how you could get there, because what I've really been struggling with, vulnerability. Oh God, am I going to have to fight? All my life I had to fight. Like, am I going to have to do that every single job, every rung by rung, day by day, promotion, opportunity? Like, is that what it's going to give? And I think you said something very important about numbers don't lie. Like, you can look at it and see it. But sometimes numbers are not going to be enough. And I think having people in higher places that can mentor you, that like my boss, see you.
Are looking out for you. Like,
and you're not doing it on your own.
Yeah. That's key.
This is actually a prayer in Jesus' name. Amen. So with that, let's talk about
that was my prayer. I think that was my prayer early in my career, and I feel like I found my people. I found my advocates. So
in your actual workplace, or just
in my workplace. Okay. Yeah, I feel like I have my advocates. So I feel like I'm looked out for. I feel like someone is looking out for me. And I don't have to fight to be seen. So,
well, we're gonna pray that for me when we get up out of here, since he heard you. Nevertheless, speaking of execs and someone looking out for you, I did want to talk about just managing up and kind of like what that means for people who like, I feel like there's so many buzzwords that people are like, what actually is that? And then how to do it.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like it's communicating your needs. Like if you need something, like if you need something to complete, like a job or like a project, whatever it is, being able to know, okay, gather all the questions and then take that to your manager and getting the answers, and then they're able to take that to whomever and get the answers too. So it's like it kind of makes its way up to whoever it needs to. But I think just like communication and just like communicating your needs.
Yeah. I would say also sometimes we think that people know.
Yeah.
Like you'll tell somebody something when you start your career, right? So in Morgan's situation, let's just say she was at the same place, assistant, coordinator, manager, and you told them back in 2018, hey, one day I really want to be a senior publicist. And you just went on about your business. Like, people are not thinking that. People are not really, you have to be in their face in a way that's like, hey, I know you and I talk about this. Hey, I really appreciate how you look out for me with this. Hey, I know we had that idea in the meeting and that's something that I would love to be a part of. Do you see a way that I can contribute to that? Do you see a way we can capitalize on my success from that? I used to have, and I think I was very like you prior to this job, where I was like, the work will speak for itself. And then people were like, no, it won't. Like, it will speak. To the realization. It will speak, right? It will speak, but you got to have a microphone.
Yeah.
And I think that managing up allows you to do that, where you're not just waiting for the opportunity to come to you. Managing up to me is going to your boss, going to the events, seeking out ways where you can just put yourself a little bit above what everyone else is doing. And also being aware that that's going to translate, especially for women of color, as what everybody else is doing. Like, you're above and beyond is unfortunately the bare minimum. And it's knowing that, but then also being like, I'm managing these people low key. Like, you are, just as much as I'm working for you, you're working for me. And how can I be, a blessing to you as a good person? But also, when you send me to this seminar, what am I learning here? Like, I'm taking my notebook, I'm shaking my hands, I'm meeting my people. If I'm having a screening, I'm inviting my friend. Do you know what I mean? If I am having a creator event, I'm inviting my friend who I know wants to work in this space, who I know is a filmmaker. Like, it's finding ways to take every opportunity and seize it. Not to sound like the Roman Empire, but we ain't gonna crash though, in Jesus' name. So within that, lateral networking, I feel like is the natural next step. And within that, I'm gonna put two questions together. Likability. Like buzzword, likability in and out of the office. So I feel like I touched on lateral networking with, inviting your friends to things, even if you think they don't want to come, or like, even when they don't want to come, I'd be like, come on, Morgan, we going. And vice versa. Morgan be at stuff like,
what?
I'd be on a story like, I would have came with you. It's like, I didn't think anyone wanted to come. So don't do that. What not to do. That's true. But lateral networking to you, what does that look like?
Yeah, I mean, when I first moved out here, I went to a bunch of networking events and I was just super aggressive about it. Ooh, but I didn't have any aim. Like, I didn't know why I was at these events. I had no purpose. I was just meeting people for the sake of meeting people.
Yeah. Like, this is what I'm supposed to do. So
right? Like, this is what I heard in college.
The girls
like,
are saying,
network, right? Like, that's what you do, right? So that's what I was doing.
Right.
Then,
the right after every single
right. And then now, fast forward 5 years later, actually a year ago, when I was gathering the crew for my short film, that's where networking, I kind of saw how important networking is and having a network is. And so now when I'm meeting other people, it's really like looking for that personality match, looking for that shared vision, looking for like the commonalities of like, how can I work with this person? Like, I really like what they're trying to do. Like, how can I like create something with them? Whether it's like at work, like how can we do a shared campaign, or like, or like outside work, like how can we like build something together? And so I feel like now I have like a new aim and a new purpose behind networking. So,
and it's giving like, look around.
Yeah.
Like, genuinely, us being friends, both being creative.
Do it with your friends. Like, people, that's the thing about this industry. People work with their friends. Like,
it's not scary. Like, we would be talking to each other like this for free. So, I mean, this is still free, but.
No, but I feel like that is the name of the game. Like, in the filmmaking industry, at least, it's like, once a director finds his favorite DP or her favorite DP.
You're on every project.
Yeah. Like,
it's just a matter of time.
It's a personality match, and then you just keep going, making more stuff, because you're already in lockstep, and you don't have to build some synergy from the ground. You have it.
And trust is everything. Like, I believe when you said, how can I work with you? But another big part of that is, how can I support you?
Okay, they're going to say, can I trust you?
Well, can I trust that too?
That too.
But
yeah,
support to me lends to me trusting the person when I've seen like, damn, she kind of want this dream to happen for me more than herself. Like, what's going on? Like, more than I want it. Yeah. And I think that's really beautiful. And I think that is how you find people who we'll show up for a 6 a.m. call time. We'll spend a Sunday afternoon with you, building your dreams together. And who knows, like God could call us tomorrow to be like, all right, well, I'm going to retire and get married. I don't see that.
I don't see that for myself either.
But so, yeah, just having the people that can support you, show up for you, and then being a person that does that. I think something big about that too is like when you get to where you're going to be, like you said, they hire the same people, they work together. Like Issa was like, I'm doing what I can do with these people around me. When it was like, what, awkward black girl and now insecure. Yeah. And those are the people she came up with, like Yvonne and all those people who were like nowhere near the fame they're at now, I'll just say. And they've been able to build that together. I think it's sweeter that way.
Yeah, no, when you go up, your friends go up too, you know?
Again. So
it's because you're called to people, right?
Right.
So it's not just for you, it's for everybody around you too.
Period. I have nothing to add. Surprise. So amazing. Well, it's time to open some bids, which you'll understand. So on our show, bids are questions that you send in, your questions, your letters, etc. So send your questions to bidonyou@gmail.com and we might answer them on the show. But since I know I've kept you for some time today, we're going to do one very special question. You can look right at me, right at the camera, and just give the girls a little cherry to carry. And that was really good what you ended on. But give me one more if you got it in the tank, in the chamber. So the question is just, what advice would you give to anyone watching on building their career, advocating for themselves, overcoming the fear of that? What's your biggest advice for them?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna look at you.
No pressure.
No pressure. I mean, I think I feel like whatever is your point of struggle, whatever your weakness is, whatever we're working on, I feel like on the other side of that is purpose, also joy, and a lot of like, it's just for our good. Like, and it's also for like our future selves. Like, so that is what like motivates me to like face my fear and like speak up when I have an idea or a vision or a thought or whatever it is. That's what propels me to. And also because like I have sat for so long knowing the feeling of what it feels like to not speak up, and the weight of unexecuted ideas is worse. And so I have no choice. There is no choice. So facing your fears because there is no choice, because stepping back into a version of yourself or stepping into the version of like the true version of yourself by facing your fears. So that's what I'm
proud of you.
I'm truly in the middle of it.
I know, but I just want to, Gabi, let me tell her a word real quick. Just speak this into you, like the way that you are moving and grooving into what God has for you, into who you've always been. I think the girl who didn't speak up is nothing but proud, because every single day, like all of that laid the foundation for who you are now. And it's amazing to watch you like this plant blossom and bloom, but you real. That's the difference between us. So I love you. And I'll always be there to bid on you.
Wow. Thank you so much. This means a lot, like for me to be here, because this space is an opportunity for me to practice what I'm really trying to work through. So thank you for like creating this space for your friends and for people that you know to practice like what we came in the city to do, practice what we're struggling on, practice what we're working on, practice that, because practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes it easier and it makes it better. And so I thank you for that. So thank you.
I love you.
I love you too.
Practice makes it easier. Start practicing today. It's giving ad. Buy my OxyClean. And on that note, thanks for watching Bid on You. We love you and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
We did it, Joe.